The Simpsons, Yoinks, Marvel's July 2027 release date, trailers for Wicked, Wolverine, Star Wars Visions, and more. Plus, Villeneuve shares his 007 casting criteria. All that and more coming up right after this. Welcome to Multiverse News, your source for information about all your favorite fictional universes. My name is Matthew Carroll, and with me today on the panel we have Haley Hobbs. What's happening, Haley?
Here to stay, here to play. Let's go.
Ooh, here to stay, here to play. Coming strong with the catchphrases. And Jason.
Hey, we've been baking these news nuggets, 23 minutes, 400 degrees, and now they're ready. I just heard a ding in the oven. Let's go.
I literally just cooked a pizza for 23 minutes at 400 degrees. Like, I'm not joking. Like, I cooked a frozen pizza, and that was exactly the thing. That was weird. Jay. And J. Scotty St. Clair. Do you have any visions of what I've been doing tonight?
Well, I do now. Now, I was going to say the Russos are telling us to look hard, but I will say listen hard on this medium. I don't know how that works, but you'll figure it out.
I'm not playing the Russos game.
Oh, crap.
I'm not even looking at that image.
Does this just happen as we were getting on? Because I saw somebody post something about it on the...
It's
like
just
a
a
couple
share.
We'll talk about it. We'll
save it for the bit.
Save it for the cast.
Guys, I gotta look hard. This is important.
I gotta do the zoomy zooms.
Look hard.
But remember when they did the endgame thing in the background? It's like
enhance.
Whatever.
Enhance. All right. Well, before we get started with the news, we like to read one of our 5-star reviews. Thank you so much from Jen G. Really enjoy this podcast. It's fun and informative about the stuff I love. It's my go-to for news about the multiverse. The podcasters are a great group who I love equally, and I get excited to listen to every episode. Thanks for all the hard work. Thank you, Jen, and thank you for avoiding more infighting by saying that you love us all equally.
It's just playful fighting. Fighting with love.
There we go.
She doesn't want to pick like one of her favorite children or whatever, you know?
Not to take anything away from Jin G's lovely review, but I was immediately, when I heard the name Jin G said aloud, I was like, oh, I have not been watching Gen V, and I need to get on that.
I'm a few episodes behind myself. I started out.
I haven't watched any of it. None of season 2 anyway.
Yes, I started watching season 2. You know what show I got so far behind on, and I'm ashamed of myself? I may have mentioned it. The Bear. I somehow completely missed that there was a 4th season of The Bear.
Oh, just like I haven't even started season 4.
Flew right by me. And
they dropped it pretty fast. I mean, it was a pretty quick turnaround from 3 to 4, so that makes sense.
I just didn't even know. And so finally I went back this week and watched it. It's really, really great.
There's a lot on right now. I mean,
always great television.
If you're over on Always Watching, you can tell. I mean,
yeah,
got an episode dropping every day about something.
Yeah, it really does. Check that out. Plug. Let's talk about our first story. It appears as though Marvel Studios' much speculated film that was slated to release between Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars in July 2027 won't be happening after all, or at least not that July, as Disney has replaced the untitled project with a sequel to the Simpsons movie dated for July 23rd, 2027. The move comes as a surprise to many Marvel fans who anticipated a possible Doctor Strange or Shang-Chi sequel to take place between the Avengers tentpoles, but it is in keeping with Bob Iger and Kevin Feige's promise about a slowdown in production. Elsewhere, with Marvel Zombies premiering on Disney Plus last week, Marvel TV head Brad Winderbaum teased a possible season 2, but emphasized that would be contingent on viewership and Disney Plus subscriptions. Meanwhile, Elizabeth Olsen took the opportunity to share that although she recorded lines for the series, she doesn't remember anything about the show or plot. Anybody reacting to this news with a "Don't"?
I don't know if I'm surprised enough to respond with a heartfelt "Dope." But let's just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off and get it out of the way. We teased it at the beginning, but you may be listening to this breakdown and be saying, hey, wait, what about the big news that just hit? The Russos teased a new image and told us to look hard. Yes, there's a new image out there. It's slightly better than the last one they put out there that was completely blurry and of a chalkboard. But this one is very much in keeping with what they did, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, before Endgame came out with the tease that it was very similar. It was on set, silhouetted, had various objects kind of, they looked like they could make out letters. And back then, it looked like Endgame was spelled out. And here they are just like teasing us. You've got Joe Russo sitting in the middle of the set on some kind of device, and just a lot of silhouettes around him. And a lot of people are saying, hey, there's an A, there's an X, it's got to be Avengers versus X-Men, which does stand to reason given what we know about Doomsday and the cast, the confirmed cast anyway. But I kind of look at it and say, I see exactly what you're doing. Again, this is a step above the blurry image that you put out a couple of weeks ago, but this is just, you know us too well, and you know exactly how we're going to respond, and that podcast and YouTube channels are going to be dissecting this thing and just making tons of content about it. But I as much as I can kind of like see it for what it is and be a little begrudging about it, I can't be too mad about it because it's creating the hype, and I think that's what we need. And I go back to 2019 before Endgame came out, and the unique thing about that image was it was only 4 months before that movie came out that we knew what the title was going to be. So there was a little bit of a case about them lying. Like, you know, people had guessed, hey, is it going to be Endgame? Have people said the title yet? And they said no, but they wouldn't be the first, and they're not going to be the last, people in Hollywood to lie to us. And we always say, lie to us, Marvel. So it's tough to get too upset about that. But, moving on from all that and moving towards something with some substance here, the untitled 2027 summer release that has been replaced with the Simpsons movie here. Again, I'm kind of like in the same boat. I see it for what it is, and it's a little disappointing because it's always nice to have more. But again, I look to what Kevin Feige said and what Bob Iger have been saying for months now. They keep saying that they're going to slow down, and I've been saying that it sounds like a little bit of a broken record. Like, let me see the evidence. So while one Marvel movie may sound a little, for a calendar year, may sound a little disappointing, I look back to 2024. Deadpool and Wolverine was the single release that we had for that year, and it worked. Yes, we had cartoons. Yes, we had TV series that came out and kind of supplemented things, but I think we're going to be okay. Like, the 1 year that we didn't have anything released whatsoever was 2020, and that was a tough pill to swallow. But again, I think all of this is kind of, we have to retrain the audience. We have to retrain ourselves as audience members, and Marvel has to do it too. We've like gotten so used to just, every 2 months, every 3 months, there's going to be a Marvel movie or show or something coming out. And Kevin Feige, to his credit, he said there's nothing wrong with letting people miss you in the theatrical window for a little bit. And I think there's some value and some credit there. I've said it on the Marvel or the Star Wars side of things, rather. Like, here looking at Mandalorian and Grogu, it's been about 6 or 7 years since we've had a Star Wars movie in theaters. And I wish the reception to that trailer had a little bit more buzz. I was certainly excited with it, but I think it's going to be okay for Marvel. It's like since 2008, again, we had 2009 and then we had 2020 were the only years that they didn't have a single theatrical offering. So again, to compare that to The Simpsons, which it kind of blows my mind to consider by the time the sequel comes out, it will be 20 years since that original Simpsons movie came out in 2007, which is,
wow.
It's always funny for me to compare my age to the age of The Simpsons because they premiered like almost a month before I was born. So it's just wild to me that a show as old as I am is still going, still being relevant, and still even able to like a lot of like TV shows and animated series. Like when they put a movie out, that's like, okay, we've done all we can. There's nothing left to say. Let's put a movie out there and put it to bed. But 20 years later, The Simpsons is still going strong. And I think the only other really, animated franchise or show that I can kind of compare that to is SpongeBob. As funny as that is to say, that was kind of similar. Like SpongeBob put movies out. SpongeBob has put multiple movies out, but is still going strong. So did you expect to get some SpongeBob analysis in your Marvel news? Probably not, but here we go.
Yeah, the first Simpsons movie came out in 2007, and the reason that I know that is because I was 18 years old in the summer of 2007, and I was working at Burger King, getting ready to go to college in that fall, and they had a promotional where they had a Simpsons Whopper that was very complicated. It had a lot of ingredients on it, and it had to be made this very particular way. And when people came through and ordered the Simpsons Whopper, it just like would drive you nuts because it would take so long. Like you'd be like, another Simpsons Whopper. Like it was just like, and it had to be wrapped in a particular wrapper. It just would, make you furious. But it has been a long time. And I think, 7 years ago, if we would have said that a Simpsons movie was going to kick a Marvel movie out of its place, that would have been a shocker. But the world's a little different, at this point in terms of the prioritization of what movies are going to be in the theater. So, when has Marvel gotten into hot water? It's whenever they force stuff out. It's been whenever they've rushed it, when they've moved stuff up the calendar, when they've made a release date that's not really meetable, and then all of a sudden you're scrambling. The VFX is looking weird. The actors are having to shoot around packed schedules, and so they're halfway in scenes that they should be all the way in, and that's what's kind of gotten them to the place of us on the other side saying, man, this movie felt like it needed this or it needed that or it needed a little bit of extra attention. So if it's not there, it's not there. And it's clear that they don't have the sequel, like you mentioned, Doctor Strange, potentially, which has been set up for a sequel. You mentioned Shang-Chi, which is way overdue for a sequel. But it's clear that these properties are just not ready to have that yet. And I think a lot of the continuation of characters will, I think, be determined in some way by Doomsday and Secret Wars. I think as we start to kind of get into the other side of that and we see those characters and we see who's on the other side, we've talked about soft reboot and hard reboot and whatever Secret Wars could do to the universe. But I think as we're looking to that, I think we'll probably have a lot of our questions answered about who's still here after those movies and who's rode off into the sunset and who's dead and who's brought in as maybe a new version of themselves and what characters are back or gone or whatever. And I think that's where you'll start to see the discussion heat up about this guy's getting a sequel, this girl's getting a sequel, this thing's getting a Disney Plus show or whatever at that time. So it's not that surprising to me, but it does make for a big jump to tentpoles, right? We're going from an Avengers to an Avengers, right? Which is interesting, but that's just kind of the place that we're in right now with Marvel.
Yeah.
And with Spider-Man in between, we kind of forget, I think, sometimes that's there just because he's Sony.
Oh, it's going to be before now, since they moved the Decembers.
It's all before.
Yeah, so Spider-Man is in May, I believe. May or July.
I think Spider-Man's July, and then Avengers is December. But at a time, they were, and then
they're screwing with me at this point.
Some moving.
Can't keep track of all of this, even though we talk about it every single week.
Yeah.
I'll zero in on Elizabeth Olsen's comment since everything else has kind of been covered. I always see actors say things like this, and I'm like, how can you not remember a thing you did? And then I'm like, well, that's their job. And if you ask me what I did 6 years ago in my job, like a specific thing, I might be like, well, I don't know. I probably did if you're asking me about it. So sure, we'll say yes. So it kind of makes sense that she's like, I don't know. I did that 6 years ago in my house. Like, what do you want from me? Like, it's very funny to hear that from her. Also tells us that all of the what if stuff and Marvel Zombies by extension was recorded in one fell swoop. Like, they clearly took these actors and were like, read these sides. And they had no clue what was going on. No idea what these projects were about. They just read the things, got paid. Good for them. Moving on. I don't know. I just find those comments super funny when they don't remember like projects they've done and stuff, but I think it's real. It's relatable, especially in that time frame, 2020, 2021.
Oh, I completely believe her that she doesn't remember. 100% believe her.
Yeah.
Because think about it. You get these lines that are like, I'm going to eat your face off, or I don't know, it was Marvel Zombies, whatever she says. But like, it's like she just reads it and then moves on. Like, she's not thinking about it. I mean,
eat your face off.
I don't know. I haven't watched it yet. All right. Just,
it's good. It's good.
I'm
nailed it.
I'm spitballing here.
Yeah. She has very few lines in the thing too. Like she's a pretty big presence in the proceedings, but not very verbose. She has few strong lines, few places where she speaks, but not a ton. So, it's totally understandable. I feel like. Okay, so look hard. I feel like I know that's not the actual story we're talking about, but we got to talk about this look hard image. I hear you on A versus X. I can kind of see that, but I see more. There's A versus. Come on, are you guys looking at it with me? A versus KKK. Like, it's clear. Like, look at the thing. So this is gonna be like some sort of civil rights, like
they're going back in time.
Era.
I don't see the X. I'm looking at it right now. I'm not seeing the X. Someone's gonna tell me.
There's X's on the wall, but
on the scaffolding, there's a bunch of.
This is what they wanted.
Bottom.
This is what they
Yes,
wanted.
this is exactly what they wanted.
Yeah. Listen, You guys are acting like we don't want to do it. You know you want to do it, and like
I've already done it.
I can't
There's
believe
nothing there.
I cannot believe I'm zooming in on this right now. I'm
Zoom
so
in,
angry at
zoom in.
myself.
We always complain about them telling us too much. This is a way to get the hype train going without telling us a damn thing, and I am into it. Don't tell us anything, lie to us, whatever. Give us, just random things that kind of look like A's.
What is the spotlight shining on? So, like, is that significant? The spotlight's shining on something specific?
It's
just the
shining
X.
on the
It's just
scaffolding.
Oh,
But
that's
that-
the X. Okay.
Yeah, you see the KKK though, right? Like it's the lighting
Yeah,
is
but
only
it's
on
just-
3
it's
Ks
an-
in a row.
Okay.
There are 3 X's from a different angle.
My mind didn't go there first.
I'm just saying, like,
Grew up in a free state.
yeah, Avengers versus KKK. I'm into it. Beat 'em up, Avengers. All right. So, yeah, I'm cool with Marvel putting out only one that year. I'm always wanting more, but hopefully we'll get some good TV content or something during that time period. It'll be a weird time, if Avengers Avengers Doomsday ends in such a way that like the story is in a really weird place, like it's leading into Secret Wars. Like, will there be a world to make TV in? Like, what is it going to be? Will they be able to continue the Daredevil series that year and without like kind of messing up the universe, or will it have to happen before or after the events or something like that? So it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird, but I'm into it. I'm excited for everything they're doing, and I want this new sort of. I want to finally get past kind of the old stuff they were changing up and get into the new goals that they have, the new structure that they're going for the universe, and see where they're really trying to go. I'm excited. Well, let's move into our, we got a little trailer park to do. It was a huge week for trailers from a bevy of our favorite franchises. So let's run them down with another good old-fashioned trailer park. Insomniac and Sony released the first gameplay trailer for Marvel's Wolverine on the PS5, which will release in fall of 2026.
Yeah, this game's been in development for a while. I think it was first mentioned like 4 years ago or something that it's been in development at Insomniac. They are the same company that does the Spider-Man games on the PlayStation, and they have sort of hinted or maybe fully confirmed that this takes place in the same universe as that one, which is kind of fun. Yeah, there's an Avengers Tower and a Doctor Strange Sanctorum or whatever in New York City when you're swinging around a Spider-Man, which is kind of cool. So it is kind of an interesting side plot that it's sort of got a universe in a way that you could make other games about. But man, what really stood out to me about this, which the trailer looks cool, it looks like kind of the same sort of feeling as those Spider-Man games, but the violence is really turned up. Like, it is super violent. I mean, he's got those claws out, and there is just like blood and gore all the way to 11. So I didn't expect that. I mean, I think it fits with what they're trying to do with it, it seems like. But that definitely, I mean, we're talking like The Boys level violence in this thing. Just straight out the gate. So that was surprising to me.
I got to get in on this one because it's been a while since a game trailer has really got me to like sit forward in my seat like this one did. And Jay, to your points, it's very violent, but what kind of stuck out to me is like 4 years ago, we got the tease that was just highly cinematic. It was just Wolverine sitting at a bar, didn't even get to see his face. This, we're seeing tons of gameplay. And what I was really encouraged by is that the gameplay looks like it's going to be different than the Spider-Man games, which were very much leaning into the traversal and the web swinging and exploring an open environment. What we've learned about this game is that it'll be maybe a hybrid between like smaller open world environments like hubs, but a lot more linear than the Spider-Man games, which I find exciting. And Liam McIntyre, who's going to be our Wolverine for this game, like, I love the voice, I love the look. He played Spartacus in the subsequent seasons on the Star shows there, but it's the second time after Hugh Jackman that we've had an Aussie come into the role here, and I just thought he really nailed it. I really, really love the voice, but apart from that, everything else that's being teased, I was just locked in. It looks like Mystique is going to be maybe a villain, potential ally, but Omega Red was like the character that I was like, I feel like I kind of recognize him, but they're just doing a whole new take on him and like upping the ante. Like it seems like he's really going to present a huge threat for Wolverine, and those those like metal tentacles that he seems to be able to control at will look like really exciting. And again, thinking about the Spider-Man games, like they let you wear so many different costumes and variations, and I feel like Wolverine is just the perfect character to do that with. Like Insomniac is doing their own take on the classic. It looks like it's more like yellow black than yellow blue to me, but I'm sure they're going to let you play with like the 90s animated version, the black and leather from the movies, all sorts of stuff, which is just really exciting. And it looks like it's going to be a game to keep an eye on. And it did bring to mind like what's going on with 1943 Rise of Hydra. We haven't heard much about that lately. I could do for another trailer on that one or some kind of update.
Yeah, for sure. I think this looks great. I didn't feel like I got enough gameplay footage. I feel like a lot of what you see in this particular trailer is it's sort of half gameplay, half cinematics. It seems like a lot of it comes from either cutscenes or those sorts of cutscenes where like so in the Insomniac Spider-Man games, he'll be like flying through what is essentially a cutscene, but you just have to hit a button every once in a while to like proceed with the cutscene.
Events. Yeah,
quick time events. Okay, I like them. They're fun, but I felt like a lot of what we saw in this trailer felt like those. There are a couple shots of him just running and brawling, and that seemed like it was gameplay. Just straight gameplay, I guess. But it overall looks beautiful. I love the traversal though, man. I love the Spider-Man game traversal, and I'm gonna miss it. I hope this visceral brawling Wolverine makes up for it. But both in the Spider-Man games and the Batman games, which are like my two favorite franchises of game, I love the traversal. I love like flying over the city in Batman's little suit, and then I love getting on the webs and swinging around. So I'm wondering if there will be any traversal in this. Probably not if you're Wolverine, but and if you'll play as any other characters too, because a lot of times even if it's a Wolverine game, they'll have like a Mystique level or two, or do some interesting stuff.
Maybe letting you play as X-23 or Lady Deathstrike or something like that. It would have to be a character that has a similar power set to him. But yeah,
probably so. Yeah. And I will say that Sentinel, like after seeing him fight all this ground level stuff in the trailer and then seeing the Sentinel at the end, I was like, oh, that looks imposing. That looks fun.
That's a boss fight.
Yeah, that's a boss fight for sure. Yeah, really exciting. All right, up next, Lucasfilm unveiled a new trailer for Star Wars Visions Volume 3, which also announced the cast that includes Anna Sawai, Freddie Highmore, George Takei, Harvey Guillen, Jodie Turner-Smith, Judith Light, Simu Liu, Stephanie Hsu, and Steve Buscemi.
We've heard "Oh my" in the Star Trek universe, but now it's time to hear it in the Star Wars universe. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this trailer, and I've enjoyed all of the volumes of Star Wars Visions thus far, but this felt like a little bit of a return to form with season 1, which was very much steeped in the Japanese anime style of animation and those animation studios. Season 2, you saw them expand a little bit and incorporate some other locales, and like particularly I remember some South American animation studios being a part of the proceedings. But it would be cool to expand even further and allow more and more animation studios to lend their voices. But I did kind of like how not only are we going to see the return of multiple studios, some of them revisiting stories and characters that they set up in season 1 or volume 1 rather, but also some of those same studios are getting the opportunity to tell new stories. So it's kind of the best of both worlds for me. But I definitely clocked that we're going to get a follow-up to The Duel, which was a very popular episode with a lot of people. It was kind of doing the rotoscoped black and white thing, which was definitely a callback to the films of Akira Kurosawa, who obviously influenced Star Wars in such a big way. But also we know that we're going to get a follow-up to The Ninth Jedi and a spin-off of its own. But even with that, like the black and white, the dual one that I'm talking about, what kind of stuck out to me is, if I'm not mistaken, for the second week in a row, we're talking about the Babu Freak species of aliens. It looks like they're doing like an old grizzled version of one
Haley,
of those
help
guys.
us.
And Zellens.
Yeah. But the other thing I noted is I watched the trailer twice, and at the same point, at both times in the trailer, I had to like stop and say like, whoa, what's going on here? Because it looks almost like they took a still right from like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom from Legend of Zelda. It's like it almost looks like a video game, like you were behind the player character, like looking out on a vista. So that really caught my attention. I'm curious to see what's going on there. But to end here, I mean, just look at the talent. Anna Sawai from Shogun. Freddie Highmore's been doing his thing for many years. Harvey Guillen, I love from What We Do in the Shadows. But obviously, Simu Liu is our Shang-Chi. Stephanie Hsu was also in Shang-Chi in a lesser role. But I've loved her in a lot of stuff, including Everything Everywhere All at Once. And Steve Buscemi, I mean, how has he not been in Star Wars yet? I mean, he's got to voice some kind of creepy alien or something, or some kind of droid, right? It's right there.
And just a small correction. George Takei never said "oh my" in Star Trek.
Oh, it was after the fact? I'm sorry.
It's all good.
I thought
It's
it
all
was
good.
something he said on Star Trek that just like spun off.
No, it's just his own catchphrase that he said in reviews and stuff since. Oh my. The final trailer for John M. Chu's Wicked for Good released last Wednesday morning to much acclaim.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like the first half of the movie, very consistent visually. It should be. They shot it all back to back. I love Act 2 of Wicked. It's got a lot of sadness, a lot of heartbreak, but the songs are all bangers. We get a taste of several of them in the trailer. You get little clips of different phrases from each of the songs. So I'm looking forward to it, but, it doesn't, wow me in any different way than the first trailer or the first film did. I think it'll look just as luscious. I think it'll sound just as great. Just looking forward to some more Wicked fever. The commercials are already starting. I've already seen one for the merch. It's coming back at us. The pink and green, get ready.
Wicked had a little Oscar push. I kind of wonder if we'll see that again with Ariana Grande, particularly being up for Best Supporting Actress, and I don't know if you can. That's why it's weird, right? Yeah, it's weird. It's like, can you? It is a part 2. It's a separate movie, so you could. But would people buy that, especially the Academy, as like, hey, we're going to do this? It's the same story, but it's part 2, and we're going to put them up again. It's just an interesting conversation around that movie. An Oscar campaign is a big deal, and it's a lot of money, and it's a big, huge commitment from a studio to try to push. And they pushed Wicked pretty hard, and yeah, it won. It got the one, like you said. But I wonder if they've got it in them for this one too.
I mean, Scotty is going to be better at speaking to this because he sees films more frequently. But Oscar chatter is quiet so far this year. I feel like I think that maybe One Battle After Another is going to enter that conversation, and there will be some of those underground films that pop up that probably the one with The Rock that's coming out with him and Emily Blunt. That's
Smashing
probably going to be
Machine,
pushed. Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of been an interesting year for Oscars, which we sort of predicted back in January.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the buzz, generally around this time of year, I have more that I can count on one hand that these are going to go the distance for sure. Let me make sure I prioritize these and see these. But what could be potentially encouraging about that is, again, we've been celebrating Sinners and Weapons. This could be the year that we see, things with more mass appeal like that go the distance, and I would love to see it.
I think Sinners has to be in that conversation.
Oh yeah.
For sure. Yep. Just back to the Wicked trailer for a second. I really just love this Wicked trailer. It got me emotional. I really liked the first one, and it got me in the feels at the ending. And the way that it ends. and Elphaba's choices and everything, it just really got me in the feels, and in a way that I wasn't expecting. I didn't know it would resonate personally with me so well, and I was really excited by it. And so those final moments are oh, this is getting good, and then it's over, and I want more. And so the trailer, revisiting those emotions, I got teary-eyed just listening to them singing, and so I'm all in, very emotionally ready for this one.
Are you?
No, not emotionally. I meant my emotions want it. I desire this movie.
You're ready to cry.
I am ready to cry. Very ready to cry.
Same.
And finally, a new trailer for 20th Century's Avatar: Fire and Ash teased more of the villainous faction and the stakes.
Oh yes, time again for our favorite franchise that rakes in all the money but has no permanence whatsoever. I did feel like this trailer was kind of indicative of the franchise. I've only seen it the once, but as I was watching it, I was, certainly it captured my attention. Lots of cool visuals. I mean, the technology on display is just always so dazzling, but there was a good 20 seconds in the trailer where the dialogue kind of, fell to the background and it was really focusing on the action. I was like, again, this looks cool, but I think I had like kind of a case where my eyes kind of like glazed over, and it wasn't until the dialogue picked up again. I was like, oh yeah, there's actually things happening here to like pay attention to. But all that being said, I did think it was, in terms of marketing, it was it's kind of how you're supposed to do these trailers, right? The first trailer did a really good job of just like teasing what the story is going to potentially be, returning players and newcomers. This did a really good job of saying, hey, we have this new faction of Na'vi that is antagonistic, and here's why. And to that end, we didn't get a ton, but I found the villain, who's I can't remember her last name, but her first name's Olga. I found her to be relatable right off the bat, at least in terms of the story she's telling and her experience and why she is the way she is. So, again, this one's going to make all the money. Will it have the conversation around it? We'll see this December, but I'm sure I'll see it at least a couple of times in theaters just because they are those kind of experiences.
Yeah, I guess it'll make all the money. I never expect it to do as well as it does, and it always does. These movies do really well. But I just like you said, I just don't. I guess it's just a universe that doesn't resonate with me as hard. I haven't even seen the second one. I've seen pieces of it. I started watching it one day and never finished it. So this
3 hours and 15 minutes is a tall ask.
It is indeed. It is indeed. And this one looks really good. The like you said, this character, their complex backstory sort of makes them seem really interesting. So I'm into it. I will probably catch up in time for this one to come out. Probably. All right, let's get to our next story. Director Denis Villeneuve shed new light on his upcoming version of 007 for Amazon/MGM, sharing that the casting process will begin next year after he's completed production on Dune Part 3 for Warner Brothers, and that he is looking to cast a relatively unknown, fresh-face actor in their 20s or 30s. Additional criteria the filmmaker included is that the performer must hail from the British Isles and be male, as well as his desire to capture that what Fleming called a blunt instrument, the lethal but extremely dull, uninteresting man to whom things happen. If Villeneuve and team stay true to these parameters, it potentially rules out many fan-casted favorites and seems to be in more alignment with the Broccoli family's tradition and characters than expected with new creatives in control. Are we shaken or stirred by these revelations?
I think we're just stirred. This is kind of along the lines of what we all wanted when we were talking about a new Bond. Very quickly throws out a lot of A-list names that have been bandied around, both American and not, and I think I'm okay with that, very much so. Like, even Daniel Craig, he was known but not super known. I think they want to go pretty unknown, and unknown to us in the States might be somebody who's relatively known over in the UK or Europe, something like that. But I think when you're looking at mass appeal, something like that's not quite the factor that, you might think it is. So I'm encouraged by these comments. You paused on that quote, Matt, about a blunt instrument, and I did too, because calling Bond dull, I think, is not really resonant with the character, even from the books. He's not dull. He's just very, he's just very stoic, right? He's just very much a machine of a man who goes in to do a job and gets it done at all costs. And so I don't love that term being used for Bond, so I hope that we don't get some boring interpretation of him. I doubt we will. That would be terrible movie making. But blunt instrument, yes. I mean, that's what he is. And I think that Judi Dench's M calls him that in one of those films with Pierce Brosnan, actually. So yeah, I'm encouraged. I'd like to see somebody I don't know, and show us somebody I think it's going to be a little more cutthroat, like we were talking about. I'm here for that.
Yeah, when those first names came out that we talked about, so Tom Holland, Jacob Elordi, I think Austin Butler was in there. I think Henry Cavill was kind of the fan one that was thrown in there. But some of those names that were brought up, it's important to remember that those were not really just internet fan casting. That was from the trades. The trades reported that Amazon was taking Bond and Villeneuve was going to be in charge, and this is their short list that they would like to look into. And so I think from the studio's perspective, maybe that was the messaging to the team. Hey, look at guys like this, or guys that are cut from this, guys that are young, but they're well known and established enough that it draws interest. And I think this is Villeneuve sort of saying, in his own words, well, actually, we kind of have a different vision. And I think I'm with you. I think that vision matches the character a little more. I think one of the concerns that we talked about was it would be kind of weird watching an actor that we had a lot of familiarity with, like think Tom Holland, for example, and then we have to put a Bond face on him and be like, that's Bond now. And a lot of times these characters work when they are unknown and they kind of grow into that role, and that's what they're known for, especially a role like Bond, which is iconic, but also has so many variations just based on who's playing and their particular style and how this Bond differs from this Bond. So I think it does give you a little bit more of a blank template to work with if you're bringing somebody in that's not carrying the baggage of their prior work. They were not carrying in as this is Spider-Man, but now he's Bond, or this is whatever Jacob Elordi's been in, and now he's Bond. I can't come off the top of my head. And kind of bringing someone in British to just kind of this is their thing. We believe in their talent, but this is going to be their big breakout thing. I do like that. But I think this is Villeneuve not necessarily pushing back, but I think it's him just kind of saying, like, this is how we're going to do things, and this is the kind of thing that we're looking for. We're not looking for some type of A-list talent to pull from for this thing.
I'm going to give Villeneuve the benefit of the doubt here because, like a couple of you mentioned, the part that kind of like stuck out to me, unfortunately, was when he described Bond as a dull, uninteresting man. I was like, ooh. Now, I'm not, super immersed in the books. I know a little bit about them, but that just sounds so in contrast with who I know Bond to be. But again, like I said, to give Villeneuve the benefit of the doubt, I know English is not his first language. I don't know if it's his second or third, but he grew up speaking French. And yes, the majority of his films have been English spoken, and he clearly has a good handle on the language. But I think he's one of those guys, like, when you put him on the spot, he gets a little passionate, and sometimes he doesn't always choose the best words. So like I said, I'm going to hope that this is a case of, like, what we've heard about this being a younger version of the Bond. Like, I struggle to say proto version, but maybe, like we've said, they're really going to lean into the fact that he was like a Navy commander prior to becoming the man that he becomes. So, it might be a good opportunity. Like, Bond has become so steeped in the panaches, like the Q, the recognizable iconography. There may be an opportunity to say, hey, let's dial back on a little bit of that, and kind of like we were talking about Batman last year. Even though Batman Begins does a lot of like the things that people say they're tired of in terms of like how many times do we have to see his parents get killed, yada yada yada. It's still one of my favorite Batman films just because it did it so well, and that could be an opportunity to do that with Bond. Because Haley, to your point, I think that, Daniel Craig was, in my opinion, he was unknown to me before he was Bond. So I think this is the right move. And I look over to like Star Wars. Star Wars has had a pretty good tradition of casting relatively unknowns. We just saw it with DC and Corn Sweat with Superman. So again, we're not talking about Marvel here, but I think Marvel could learn a lesson from some of these other franchises like Star Wars or here with Bond. And, as much as I love Yelena Belova and Florence Pugh in that role, it's kind of like, well, this is Florence Pugh in the Marvel universe a little bit. So I think there is an opportunity to not only just, give somebody a new opportunity, but, kind of redefine people's expectations of what a Bond can be.
Absolutely. All right. Well, coming up in our lightning round, Beyond the Spider-Verse gets moved up. The Social Network 2 finds its cast. AI actress Tilly Norwood earns ire and backlash, probably from us, in fact, and a whole lot more. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Multiverse News. We have a Patreon, guys, and I think Jay Sisson's going to tell us about it. What's the Patreon?
Hey, the Patreon is at patreon.com/multiverse newscast, and it gives you, the listener, pay attention if you're doing chores or something, and you're driving, you're starting to zone out a little bit. Just come back to me for a minute, all right? The Patreon is a place where you can get involved with the show. You can contribute $4 a month. Yes, $4 a month, even in this economy. We're not raising the price. We're like Arizona iced tea. You know, we're not raising the price. It's staying what it is. All right. So you pay $4 a month. It goes directly into the show. It goes directly into making the show. We get to send you a sticker in the mail that you can put on your water bottle or your laptop case or whatever. You get a little bit of a discount at our merch store if you're interested in that. We post the live video that you're watching right now if you're watching on YouTube up, so you get to enjoy that, and you get access to some polls and some more opportunities for conversation around the show. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, just head to patreon.com/multiverse newscast.
Yeah, do it. And one of those people who has done it is our good friend Jessica Mai. Thank you, Jessica Mai. She is the patron of the week. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And let's move on to our Spotify poll for this week. We asked, how will you watch The Mandalorian and Grogu? 13.3% of you said streaming. 23.3% of you said you weren't interested. And 63.3% of you said in theaters. So I'm actually surprised at the number of not interested.
Must be a lot of Trekkies.
That's probably my fault. Sorry about that. Sorry.
How many times did you vote, Matt?
I got us an infestation in here.
I had to use all my burner accounts.
Yeah. Just tank this movie real hard. War on the wars.
Single-handedly.
Yeah. But no, 63.3 seen in theaters. That's pretty high.
Yeah, that's pretty
only,
good.
Only a few waiting for streaming. But I was kind of shocked that like a quarter of our fan base is like, not interested in it. Well, I've heard people kind of just listening online this last week of people responding to the trailer and people commenting on our episode actually and our clips. I saw like some random comments come across and be like, ugh, if somebody wrote something like, if this is the future of Star Wars, it's over or something like, because we were talking about how like this and Skeleton Crew and a few other things like kind of have this vibe, you know. And I can kind of understand that from people that like grew up wanting a certain thing out of Star Wars. If it becomes sort of this like a little bit more kiddie centric franchise.
Star Wars was made for kids.
Yeah,
George Lucas has said it. It was made for 12-year-olds.
Sure.
There is a feeling I've heard too, like, really, this is the movie we're coming out with, but. And I mean, even when we were like, oh, from TV to film, it's an interesting choice. And it is still, I think, an interesting choice that they're making. But they're not making it without calculations. So just because 23% of our audience won't see it doesn't mean that matters.
Well, I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at is 23% of our audience doesn't want to see it. I'm wondering if that means 23%. Some percentage of that doesn't like Mandalorian and Grogu. And some percentage of that just doesn't care about Star Wars. And we talk about Star Wars all the time, so I'm wondering how many people just don't care about Star Wars.
Well, at the risk of getting political, I also wonder how much of this is motivated by people that are just kind of like done with Disney right now. Because like I had the experience last weekend. I was at a friend's birthday party and like I was talking about Alien Earth with a lot of people, and a lot of people were saying like, I haven't watched it because I canceled Disney Plus. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, I can't knock you, but there are ways to pirate it. If you want to. I don't normally endorse that kind of thing, but yeah.
Yeah, I was, you know, I had a real dark episode of the MCU cast where I was like, I don't know if I want to cover any of this stuff anymore. I may cancel my subscription. I hadn't decided yet. Blah 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 blah. But you know, they did the right thing. They brought Kimmel back. They need to keep strong and keep resisting this kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm okay with them right now. Like there are so few companies and industries that have stood up to the administration when they've pushed on things like this. So the few that are, I want to reward just because I want more to do it. You know, I want I'd like to see people rally around Disney a little bit and say like, all right, you did the right thing. Let's reward them for doing the right thing, and then maybe they will do the right thing next time they get sued.
Famously, people online don't have strong opinions about Star Wars either, so
yeah, that's true.
Should be
So true.
That's true.
It's famously
never
like a
chatted
dull
about.
Conversation. Yeah,
Nobody tweets about it.
people don't, completely lose their mind over it in the comments ever. Like that never happens. So
true.
It should just
So
be
true, too.
totally normal human behavior around this movie, I would imagine.
All right, well, let's move into our lightning round. This is where I'm going to read a story, and then we are going to shout out our names if we would like to claim that story to respond to it. And once per lightning round, even if we miss claiming it, we get to respond to a story. One response. All right. Mark Ronson is slated to reunite with Greta Gerwig to score the Chronicles of Narnia adaptation at Netflix. Ronson previously served as executive music producer for Gerwig's Barbie. Matt, weird choice. Weird choice. I really like the Barbie movie, but the vibe of the music I feel like is very different than what I would expect from a Narnia thing. But I can't remember. There was an early quote we read about this years ago, like a year ago or something. Greta Gerwig was talking about this having a different vibe in general. So
yeah, the whole movie is a weird vibe.
yeah, which I'm down for. She's done some weird vibes, and I dig it.
Weren't we talking about like her possibly casting like Charlie XCX as
Yes.
the White Witch or something like that? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that goes in line with this Mark Ronson. Like I'm imagining what is it? Azrael? Is that his name?
Aslan.
Aslan. I'm just Aslan.
Hey, I'm reading the Wikipedia article on Mark Ronson. Wrote Uptown Funk featuring Bruno Mars.
So. I was
like, there's a famous artist he's affiliated with.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I should have led with that. I guess
Uptown Funk you up, you know.
Common knowledge. Because if you ever look at that song, it's not listed as a Bruno Mars song. It's listed as a Mark Ronson song featuring Bruno Mars. But he's just a producer, so it's interesting. He did an album that year where he got a lot of guys to come and be on. So there's a bunch of songs that came out that year that are like number one hits that are Mark Ronson featuring whoever you think that song is by. it's kind of a weird little artifact. All right. Up next, Amazon MGM Studios adaptation of Rebecca Yarrow's best-selling novel Fourth Wing is closing in on a new showrunner. Wednesday Season 2 executive producer Meredith Averill is in final negotiations to board the project as writer and executive producer.
Haley, I'm bummed about this because last time we knew it was Jack Schaefer, which I was really, really excited about, as Jack did WandaVision, Agatha, and she'll have done the Vision Quest series. So I actually was really bummed by this news. I just have to keep the faith that it'll still be really, really good. But I will be missing that hand on the wheel, I think. I love Jack Schaefer so much.
Yeah.
Interesting, too, because Jack Schaefer has an overall deal at Amazon MGM. Like, we talked about that. And so I thought, okay, well, this is our first thing.
And they didn't say, yeah, it's weird. It's kind of a weird thing.
Yeah.
Sony revealed that Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse will arrive a week earlier than expected and land on June 18th, 2027. Notably, that new date will cover the Juneteenth holiday as well as Father's Day. It previously was dated for June 25th, 2027.
Scotty, just in time for 4 years later since we had Across the Spider-Verse. So this thing's been delayed multiple times. So if they can start to move it up, I'm totally on board for that. If they want to move it up more, feel free. A few months ahead, if you're in a position to, I wouldn't be mad at that. But looking at this date, it does make a lot of sense. Back in 2023, late June was a great release window for that film. I think, you have enough kids out of school at that point in time that they're going to go out and see it in droves. But also, look at the holidays here. Juneteenth with the character of Miles, and then Father's Day, like his relationship with his father. And without spoiling too much, what could potentially be at stake. I think this is, a 1-2 punch between, 3-punch really, between it being in the summer, really being able to kind of like lean into these holidays that it naturally lends itself to. So, yeah, it's crazy to think it'll be 4 years by the time this movie comes around. But definitely looking forward to it.
Pixar has a movie slated for that date called Gato. Get Out.
Oh, yeah.
It's a trap. Do not put yourself up against the Spider-Verse movie.
Another cat
It'll
movie.
move to July.
Yeah. Comedian Bill Burr is in talks to join the cast of Aaron Sorkin and Sony Pictures' sequel to The Social Network, and after Jeremy Strong, Mikey Madison, and Jeremy Allen White were officially cast. The film also has been retitled to The Social Reckoning and will officially hit theaters on October 9th, 2026.
Haley, Don't doubt Bill Burr's acting chops. If you've seen him in season 2 of The Mandalorian, he can actually really bring the dramatics. So good, go him.
Yeah.
Social media addiction? Are you telling me there's social media addiction now? First it was just social media. Now we got social media addiction here.
Way to undercut me, Scotty.
He was so ready. Like he's
His
like
face
leaning
is
back in
getting
his
red.
chair.
That's a good one. It's a good burr. It's a good burr.
Thanks.
A newly created AI actress named Tilly Norwood, designed by the studio Zikoi, I don't care if I spelled your name right, said your name right, under Particle 6, has reportedly drawn interest in Hollywood talent agencies. The announcement sparked major backlash from real actors with critiques about replacing human talent, the ethics of compositing real faces, and calls to boycott agencies that represent AI personas. The creator defended Tilly as a creative work, not a replacement for people.
Jay, okay, we got to talk about it. Because this was the leading story on every major trade for about 4 days straight. This was the main talk of Hollywood whenever this was dropped, and I mean, there's a lot to cover with this. I mean, I think it threatens to really turn people off from entertainment. I think it's one of those things that people, in maybe positions of tech think could be a great idea. But then in the real world, when people are told that there's an AI actress, they're not interested in it because it's not art. It's like, how does Tilly Norwood know what acting is? Well, she's been programmed with people who are actually actors and learned from that. And so it raises, which AI in general does this, but it raises questions about training it and who deserves credit for training it and all of that. And so I think the news that the AI actress has been like talent agencies have contacted to try to see if they can sign the AI actress, which, by the way, the person who dropped this at this convention said that they wanted her to be, quote, like the next Scarlett Johansson or something like that, or the next Natalie Portman. It rubs people the wrong way, and it really rubs Hollywood the wrong way because it comes off as soulless, and it just comes off as like, what's the point of art anymore? It is the point of art to monetize it and just pump as much money out of it as possible and just kind of like make things off an assembly line, or is the point of art, and we all think no, right? I'm going to read you, I got SAG-AFTRA's statement here. I'm going to read it to you guys real quick. It says, SAG-AFTRA believes creativity is and should remain human-centered. The union is opposed to the replacement of human performers by synthetics. To be clear, Tilly Norwood is not an actor. It's a character generated by a computer program that was trained on the work of countless professional performers without permission or compensation. It has no life experiences to draw from, no emotion, and from what we've seen, audiences aren't interested in watching a computer-generated content untethered from the human experience. It doesn't solve a problem. It creates a problem of using stolen performances to put actors out of work, jeopardizing performer livelihoods, and devaluing human artistry, which pretty much nails it, right? So, I think rightfully the industry's pushing back very hard against this, and I don't know what the future looks like in terms of AI and actresses and actors and set pieces. I think it'll they tried, when the statement was dropped, they tried to kind of compare it to CGI. Like, well, CGI was created and it allowed us to do things that we couldn't do with a computer and things like that. And it was weird at first, but now it's common to use CGI instead of props and stuff like that. And this is just the next CGI thing. But I think I don't believe that. And I think the idea that it's not going to replace people or it's not a human replacement is just a bunch of BS, in my opinion. I mean, that's what it's literally designed to do from where I'm standing.
100%.
It's the trap that science and technology typically falls into, which is just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Jeff Goldblum said that. Or Samuel L. Jackson said. Who said that?
It was Jeff Goldblum.
Okay. Questioned myself. Sorry.
Samuel L. Jackson said, "Hold on to your butts."
Yeah, which
still applies.
I'm just tired of this AI revolution that's supposed to be helping us all, just taking the jobs we all want and not doing anything we need. It's like just wasting a lot of money to process to fake human art in ways that make it easier to propagandize and to brainwash and to put out slop on the internet to get views, instead of just like learn to do my taxes, or whatever, like do tasks that nobody really wants to do, and then let those sectors like change. This is like the goal of so many people, to be a great actress and actor, artists, and that's just what it is doing right now. AI is like main thrust. The main thing we hear about it all the time is music and writing and now acting. Like, it's just trying to take over these things that people really desire to do, and it just, to me, it like completely betrays the like sci-fi future that we all dreamed of like robots doing the things we don't want to do, so we have time to do the things we want to do. Yeah. It's frustrating. At the box office this weekend, Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another came out swinging with a $48.5 million global start, the biggest of the filmmaker's career. In other box office weekend update news, The Conjuring Last Rites currently stands at $436 million globally, while Demon Slayer Infinity Castle across the $600 million global total.
Scotty, I did make it to the theater this weekend, and I caught One Battle After Another, and don't know if it's my second or third favorite film of the year thus far. It's in contention with Sinners currently. I still have Weapons at the top, but yeah, I really, really enjoyed One Battle After Another. It is 2 hours and 42 minutes, so if you do decide to venture out there, plan accordingly. Maybe not overhydrate. I did have to go to the bathroom once, but I think I timed it pretty well. But yeah, looking at the box office here, Warner Brothers has had a hell of a year. And this is, this isn't amongst the highest of their totals, but looking at a September release for an auteur filmmaker like Paul Thomas Anderson, and again, this not only is this, like, I would argue this is his most accessible film, it's also the one with the biggest budget, so it's got a little bit of a fight ahead of it. But I think it's really encouraging, and I think the buzz around this film has been really, really positive. So. I still have not made it out to see The Conjuring: The Last Rites. I don't know, the ship might have sailed on that one. I might wait for streaming on that one, but maybe I'll make it out there. But yeah, I would encourage, if you have even any inkling to see One Battle After Another. I think it's a very timely movie. And for Leonardo DiCaprio, I really liked him in Killers of the Flower Moon, but I think this will probably be the performance that gives him a little bit better of a chance come award season here. So. Yeah, it's a big recommendation from yours truly.
On Monday, September 29th, Electronic Arts announced that Saudi's public investment fund, Silver Lake and Affinity Partners, will acquire the company privately during fiscal year 2027. Affinity Partners, one of the three investors, was founded by Jared Kushner, who is married to Ivanka Trump, President Trump's eldest daughter.
Jay, yeah, this was huge, like industry shaking news, especially for the gaming industry. Electronic Arts, if you don't know, they own some pretty major gaming franchises, especially in the sports world. They create Madden every year. They create NCAA college football. They own other ones like The Sims, and a lot. There's a lot of games that come out of Electronic Arts that maybe you don't realize. It's one of the biggest gaming studios in the world. So this news, basically what's happening now is you have this kind of conglomerate. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia now owns Madden or whatever, I guess. But what's happening is, they're buying out all the shares. They're just going to pay all the shareholders, and now they'll own it. I was trying to read a little bit about this, just, non-finance person trying to understand the financial stuff. And what I could pick up on is basically they're fronting like 35 billion of this, and then about 20 billion is going to be debt taken on by EA. So they're buying kind of so they're saddling some of the debt on, then they're buying it. And then the goal is to kind of focus in on trying to generate the money from there to kind of pay off the debt and all of that. So, I tried to kind of take the temperature a little bit of like, I'm not really super plugged into online gaming communities, also famously a group with not strong opinions online. But I tried to kind of take the temperature of it a little bit, and it seems like a lot of your sports game players are a little cautiously optimistic about this, taking all the political stuff out of it and what that means. I know there's a whole other conversation there, but they've felt like a lot of those franchises made by EA have become very stale. It's very shareholder driven. It's very, we got to meet the quarterly earnings to keep the shareholders happy. And so we've got to just keep churning out the same Madden every year and the same NCAA college football and the same FIFA every year with minimal improvements and slap a $70 price tag on it or whatever. And they feel like potentially by it going private, maybe there can be a little bit more of a, refresh of those brands or something. But yeah, weird times. This was unexpected and gigantic for the industry of gaming.
Yeah. Little rebuttal. It's just another. I feel like every week now we're covering a story where a buddy of Donald Trump is buying another major media conglomerate of some sort, and it's just really discouraging because all our like things we care about and our values are kind of downstream from the culture we consume, and I really don't want the anti-empathy crowd running all the video games. Like, it's already pretty dark in some of these video games, and it's a dark time when so many things are getting owned up by a very small number of people with a very specific ideology. It's scary. All right, Oscar, Tony, and Emmy Award winner Jeremy Irons has joined the cast of Amazon MGM's Highlander reboot and will play the leader of the Watchers, one of the villains of the film.
Haley, I don't really remember this being in the original film. It might be something more from the TV series that was on afterwards, but who doesn't love Jeremy Irons? Always a classy casting call.
When's he getting his Grammy?
Would that give him an EGOT?
Where's Mark Ronson? Team up.
Yeah, there we go.
If there's one man who can get it done, it's Mark Ronson.
Absolutely.
You do one of those songs from The Lion King, yeah.
Be prepared. Wait, is that him? Right? That was the one.
Yeah.
DC Studios Superman has racked up 13 million global viewers since premiering on HBO Max on September 19th. The streamer says that marks the largest 10-day audience for a day one film since December 2023 when Barbie played.
Barbie was in 2023? Sorry, that really threw me.
Yeah, we're getting old, man.
Sorry, that got me.
I was just going to say that the streaming numbers are interesting here because what's not really getting great streaming numbers is Peacemaker. And
really?
And Peacemaker's great. I mean, I'm not talking bad about it. It's just it's not really hitting those Nielsen, ratings. It's not really appearing on your streaming charts and things like that. The online chatter is not as much as you'd expect. And I think it kind of draws a really interesting set of conclusions here about DC is that, we've talked about it, like Peacemaker's not for everybody, obviously. It's totally different than Superman. The violence is heavier. The content is way more TVMA than Superman is. And so but it does raise an interesting conversation about DC, and we know that Peacemaker right now is doing some very ground level world building work right now for the DCU, and so it makes me wonder about a lot of people clearly are going to see Superman, but they're not going to see Peacemaker, and then they're probably going to go see Supergirl and Man of Tomorrow. Will they be confused or not? Yeah, it's interesting to see such high numbers for one and not as many for another. But I don't think at the end of the day we're surprised by this. I mean, people love Superman, and I think a lot of people, it still had a solid box office, but there was definitely some meat left on the bone. And I think the quick move to the streaming is probably a reason for that.
On that note, I trust James Gunn to make those decisions about what to include that is essential and what not to.
For sure.
He's a guy who understands coming from the like schlocky rated R horror films into Guardians of the Galaxy and the Marvel Universe and now DC. He's a guy who understands the difference and understands these audiences are different. And I think he gets that Peacemaker is for people who want to get nerdy on the background of what's going on in the universe, little extra context. And don't mind some, naked body parts on their TV.
A lot of them.
Lot of naked body parts.
We got the 4 quadrants.
I've seen them.
Parts.
I've seen all 4 quadrants. Yeah, so I just trust that he'll like. I'm thinking about Creature Commandos and how that basically led right into Peacemaker, and the only thing we had to have mentioned was that one of the characters broke their back in that show, and it's like just mentioned as an aside to the point that you like don't need to know what it's even from. It's just a nice nod to people who watch that, like, oh, he did break his back, right? You know what I mean? Like he did a really good job even with that handoff. So I think it's gonna be very well done. I really do. All right, well that's our show, guys. Let's go around and tell the people where they can find what else we're doing online. Haley Hobbs, what you got going on?
Oh, so many things. Brian and I over on Source Pages talked about Marvel Zombies, which we thought was fine. Ashley and I are continuing our Outlander rewatch on Always Watching. We're also launching Unqualified Opinions, which we've been doing on Twitch as a podcast, but we're still doing Twitch as well, of course. And then Jay and I are doing the paper. So enjoying that.
Yeah. Congratulations on the new cast. Make sure to go subscribe, everybody. Unqualified Opinions. Excited for you guys to have a show that lives forever on the podcast realm. It's great. And Jay Sisson.
Yeah, check out that coverage of the paper on Always Watching. We're just doing 2 episodes at a time and kind of moving through that season. And then check out Commute the Podcast. We didn't have a new episode this week, but never hurts to subscribe, and we got a new one coming out next week. So please look for that.
Awesome. And J. Scotty St. Clair.
As for me, we were just talking about Peacemaker Season 2. Well, there's coverage for that on the aforementioned Always Watching feed, so please check it out. And then I've been teasing it, but I will commit to making it happen. At some point this week, you'll start to see the Tron coverage on Bingers Assemble, so look forward to that.
Sweet. Yeah, just let me know when you want to do it. I'm in.
Okay.
I got some time this week, I think. We could probably knock both of the first 2 out this week.
Okay.
All right. Well, guys, we'll be back soon. Check out, I'm always over there on Always Watching and Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast all the time. Check those out. Make sure you're subscribed right here on Multiverse News, and we'll be back very soon. Peace.
You stay classy, Multiverse.
Hey, thanks for listening to Multiverse News, or watching it, or whatever you're doing, eyeballs or ear holes, whichever thing. We do this show every week, and we appreciate you listening. strandedpanda.com is where you can find all of our podcasts, and thank you for listening. Check us out wherever you get podcasts. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the little bell icon, whatever you have on whatever service you're doing. Rate us, like us. We're really thirsty. That's what I'm saying.